More Islamic tiles were employed in the fourth court when the Baghdad pavilion was built to celebrate the Ottomans' taking of that city in 1638. Other Istanbul buildings are also famed for the quality of their tiles. One is another of Sinan's masterpieces, the small Rustam Pasha Mosque. It was commissioned in 1561 to commemorate an Ottoman general who had been born in Bosnia and eventually married Suleiman's daughter. He became Grand Vizier and accumulated huge wealth. This wealth is evident in the lavish interior of the mosque with its wonderful tile work.
What makes a highly favored work of Ottoman architecture is the quality of its tiles. The later 16th century marked the zenith of Ottoman tile industries, and Rustam Pasha is a museum in a way of that tile art.
The other Istanbul mosque famed for its tiles is the Sultan Ahmet or Blue Mosque.
The tiles there are a little bit later, so they weren't necessarily of the same enormously high quality they had been during the latter part of Rustam Pasha's life. So the tile panels are not as perhaps inventive and not as high quality in their execution, but they certainly are decent enough for anyone else, I think.
The Blue Mosque, though, comes in for a fair bit of criticism. One aspect frowned upon by the scholars is the size of the domes supporting pillars.
The problem with the Blue Mosque is that Sinan's successor in the post of chief architect, Sedef Kar Mehmedar, he understood how to build the building, but he didn't have the same finesse. And so when you go into the Blue Mosque as opposed to the Suleymaniye or the Selimiye, then you do notice that there are these four huge piers that support the domes, and they're generally known as elephant's feet.
Another criticism leveled at the Blue Mosque concerns the minarets. They may be elegant, but there are 6 of them. There is no other mosque outside Mecca that boasts 6 minarets. Many see this as a sacrilegious challenge to the holy city. But whether it's intentionally sacrilegious or not, and whether it's clumsy and heavy inside, from the outside, it is still a magnificent statement of Ottoman power.
Within the overall framework of Ottoman architecture, I mean, it's not the greatest because it wasn't designed by a genius, but it certainly holds its own for most people, and it's like a huge and rather beautiful mountain with these architectural foothills.
The Sultan Ahmet's mosque's popular name of the Blue Mosque was given to it by Western visitors. The reason isn't difficult to guess. The color of the interior tiles were blue. Sitting astride the waterway that separates Europe from Asia, Istanbul has always been influenced by a mixture of cultures. As trade increased over the centuries, so foreign influences became stronger in Ottoman architecture. Chinese influences can be seen in the public fountain of Sultan Ahmet III. It was built in 1729 and reminds me of a pagoda. This was called the Tulip period because the Sultan loved tulips. The golden Arabic calligraphy includes verses from Islamic poets. A similar style is evident on the 6-sided ablutions fountain built outside the Hagia Sophia in the days when it was a mosque. The fountain was built 10 years later than that of Sultan Ahmet III, and it was in a style called Turkish Rococo. In the 18th and 19th centuries, European style started to be seen all over the Ottoman Empire in domestic houses. Yet the eclectic mix of influences didn't affect the seasonal lifestyle. Effectively, there are two houses stacked one upon the other. For the summer, the ground floor is a typical Islamic courtyard house with its cooling fountain and pool. In the winter, the occupants would follow the practice of centuries, retreating upstairs to warmer quarters. In this house in Aleppo, the European influence is even more evident. But as European influence started to seep through, sometimes swamping, Islamic art forms, one particular skill has survived since the earliest times: calligraphy, or beautiful writing.
In Islamic belief, the central role is played by the revelation of the Word of God, which is the Quran. And so from the beginning of the Islamic era in the 7th century, the recording of that became very important. By the 8th century, it's clear that a special way of writing Arabic had been developed that was subject to rules which were designed to make it beautiful as well as legible, and they're the rules that are behind Arabic calligraphy.
Beautifully illustrated Qurans are among the most prized objects in the Muslim world. Ancient decorated Qurans have been known to change hands for huge sums. The art is still practiced enthusiastically today. This Sufi master calligrapher has many students who are eager to learn the finer points from him. They are trained for many years in the strict rules governing the different Arabic scripts in which the Quran is written. The training is often as much spiritual as practical. Copying and decorating Qurans was seen as a form of religious devotion. It became an honorable occupation, fit for a prince.
Towards the end of the 17th century, it's the first time that the princes are actually taught to be calligraphers from the time when they're children. So many of the sultans who came to the throne in the 18th and 19th century were actually trained calligraphers, and a lot of emphasis was given on that. As a sign of being a gentleman, it's a sign of the civil bureaucracy being in charge, rather than the earlier periods when it was really the sultan's ability to fight battles that was more important.
The sultans had official seals called togras. These were calligraphic devices used to authenticate official documents. In Istanbul today, modern Islamic artists are also using calligraphic devices in their art, but with a figurative twist. Gallery owner Khaldun Dostlu showed me some of their work. The Turkish artist Murat Morava has introduced Sufi themes into a context which has homoerotic overtones. In this work, he has combined the Arabic characters for the three great Shia religious figures in a search for the perfect man.
And what he used here, as you see, as you know, this is a very traditional anonymous illustration of a human being which is made of Arabic calligraphies. It says Ali Hassan Hussein, so the perfect human being is made of Ali Hassan Hussein.
Is he controversial?
Kind of. He's trying to put his sexual choice in his art, which makes his art very crucial and sensitive.
As we have seen, some of the more controversial aspects of Sufism are alien to Orthodox Muslims. But I am inspired by the legacy of the great mystics, though their Islam may be far from the great official mosques and madrasas. The mystics, with their universal message appealing to all, provide the only platform that will allow our different religions, nations, sects and tribes to be able to come together in peace and harmony. The message of the mystics runs through all the great faiths back to earliest time and is so strong in Islam. Theirs is a beautiful message of love, hope and optimism, and one that ultimately underlines our common humanity.